Good evening. Hello again. Hello, dear colleagues. Hi, everyone. Hello to students if you're watching us. Happy to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Hi, Tamar. So today we have such a topic: music, English, YouTube. If you have seen my stories about my guest today, so you already know that this is the person who has his own YouTube channel, who created his own unique, very interesting method. Hi, Jamie. Delivering the classes to students. So of course we're gonna talk about it. Very unusual biography of my guest, because he was a musician. That's why I'm saying about music and about YouTube. It's a teacher trainer, it's book authors. So he actually has 3 books published with Cambridge. He's affiliate trainer at Norwich University for Language Education in UK. Okay, it said there was poor connection. I hope that you can see me. I hope everything is okay. So let me just check. Can I connect Jamie? Alright. Jamie, if you can hear me, could you please send me the request to join the live and I will approve it. So we're gonna talk about many different things, and just to finally officially introduce, my guest is Jamie Keddie. I can see your request, Jamie, approving.
Hey.
Hello. Happy to see you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you, Olga?
I'm good as well, thank you.
These are strange, these Instagram lives, because you have to go straight live, don't you? There's no opportunity to have a little chat behind the scenes and decide what you're going to do. And I've never met you before, and you've never met me before, so it's all very exciting, but also quite scary.
I hope it's going to be fine, you know, it's actually just a friendly chat, as I keep saying, and indeed, you're right, I had already guessed who I would see live the first time, just going live on Instagram, but with some we also sometimes have just a talk, just a chat, as we had with you chat, but we could also have a video calls. It's all optional, but you know, then after the lives it goes like we are in contact all the time and we kind of keep in touch, so it's just a beginning.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to try putting on my headphones, if that's all right with you.
Of course,
because
no.
I think I can hear you better when I've got my headphones off. So just give me 1 second. Let me just see if this works, because these are Bluetooth headphones. I have a lot of bad luck with Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bluetooth makes my life very difficult, I would say. So I know this is a first world problem, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I think that's much better, you see.
Okay.
Apparently today Bluetooth is behaving and making life easier, which is very unusual for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, Jamie, thank you so much for accepting my invitation, for coming, and I'm super thankful that you have time, because oh my god, I can imagine how busy you are.
Don't let that fool you. I think everybody says they're busy, and people are busy, but they use that as an excuse. Don't you think?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they say, I'm so busy, and then they're usually at home watching Netflix or on computer games or something. You can always find time, can't you, really?
Sure. Well, anyway, happy to see you. How is weather in Barcelona?
It's quite nice. Would you like to see?
Oh, if you can show.
This is
I suppose it
Barcelona.
must be sunny there yet.
Well, it has been quite sunny. A
Oh,
few days. It was, in fact, I put a story on Instagram last week because on Thursday I bought a nice warm winter's jacket because it's been very cold. And the next day, summer arrived and people were actually sunbathing in their bikinis on the beach.
I
Not the
saw that
guys,
story. It
obviously.
was funny.
So, it was true, yeah.
You know,
So,
it's actually, I was thinking, it's such, like, c'est la vie, you know, as they say, life is life, that I was in Barcelona, like 2 years ago for the first time in my life. I've been there only once yet, but I didn't know about you, and it could be so nice to meet over a cup of coffee and discuss it, you know, face to face, of course. And you've been to Warsaw and I was not here.
I've been there many times.
Oh, really?
You're not from Poland, are you?
No, I'm Ukrainian. I'm from
Ukrainian.
Ukraine, Kyiv.
Yes, I remember that. Look, we've got 19 people. That's pretty good, Olga.
Yeah, right now I can see 19. Yeah, and people will
Hello,
be
19
joining.
people.
So hi everyone.
I think I'm very impressed with your Instagram channel. I think you do a very nice job and you keep it very well and you seem to engage very nicely with everybody. I'm very lazy. I don't always find the time again.
No, I cannot say that you're lazy. Come on. I went through all of the possible information on the internet about you, and oh my God, I'm impressed. I read all the interviews. I listened to all the interviews because I really did not want to ask you the same questions, you know, that you are probably asked kind of from time to time. So I will do my best to discuss different things with you. But do you come to Warsaw often?
Well, I used to a lot. I think I've been to Poland maybe 12 times in my life to work, and most times I've flown to Warsaw and spent time in Warsaw. But I've also been to places like Krakow and Szczecin and Bydgoszcz and Danzig. So I've been to quite a few different ones, Łódź. So I've been around, you know. I am very fond of Poland and I'm very fond of Polish teachers, and I think and I've never been to Ukraine, unfortunately, but I've worked with a few Ukrainian teachers, so I know that you're good people.
Oh, thank you so much. All the kind words. I was impressed, of course, when you first approached me and just gave me so many likes and said such kind words. And I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm trying to do, you know, engage with people and just bring some value with such live sessions that now we're disconnected from the whole world. So at least with the internet, we can meet so many wonderful people.
I just saw one of my friends, Olga. I don't know how he found you. He's called Curtin. And how would he have got here? Curtin, how did you end up here? That's very interesting.
Oh, actually, you know, your followers get notified once you're live with me, despite the fact that
is that right?
To my account, actually.
I didn't realize. Well, hello. Some of these people are. Oh, that's interesting. Well, in case you don't know Olga, this is Olga, the next big celebrity on Instagram. I've never seen anybody go from. So, I mean, I know you've got 350, but you've just very, very quickly, you've got a nice little following. So yeah. So let me introduce you to Olga. I didn't realize that's the way it worked. Yeah.
So you see, Instagram is constantly updating, so new features are coming like every week. I don't know.
Yeah. So you wanted me to send you some questions, and I said no.
Yeah, so we will go impromptu. So Jamie, if you could share, I was interested, of course, how was that experience at TED Talks in Warsaw? How did you feel before, after, during?
Oh, wow. It was terrible. It was one of the worst things I've ever done.
Oh, I'm sorry for asking.
Yeah. I don't like to talk about it.
Terrible. Come on, I watched it. It was so fantastic.
Do you want me to tell you the story? Curtin says he can see my bank details. Curtin once asked this question as well about the TEDx talk I did, and I'm going to tell you the story of the TEDx talk, and I'm going to tell you why it was so bad,
And first of all, it was nothing to do with TEDx Warsaw. They were great. They were great team, and I was very lucky and honoured that they invited me to give a talk. But I think this was when I was just starting to find my way in storytelling. And so when I was invited to give this TEDx Warsaw talk, there was no doubt in my mind. I knew what I was going to do. I was going to tell a story. And I spent ages thinking, but what story to tell? And don't worry if you've never seen this video before. It's on YouTube. I actually recommend that you don't watch it, but you're welcome to find it if you want to. Have you watched it, Olga?
Yeah, sure.
What did you think? No, you don't answer that question. So I decided, because we were getting involved, and I think YouTube was just finding its way. I don't even remember which year it was, but maybe 2009. Is that possible? Why am I asking you?
2012?
2012. So YouTube was becoming very well established then, and YouTube was still, at the time, on one hand it was established, but on the other hand it was still finding itself, and it was still very democratic. It was still a platform for lots of people having fun, user-generated content. Big corporations still hadn't worked out how to make use of YouTube in 2012, most of them anyway. And so what I started to get really, really into was to find stories on YouTube, videos rather, which had stories behind them, and I would tell those stories, you see. So one of my favorite stories, and this is still my favorite story, is called Pogo and the Mystery Object. And it's a story about a clumsy skydiver who's fitting his or maybe her GoPro camera to the helmet just before jumping out the plane, and accidentally, while the video camera's turned on, drops it, and it goes hurtling towards the earth, and it takes 20 seconds to land with a thump. And it lands right beside Pogo, who is a pig. And this pig comes to explore and sniffs the video camera and then tries to eat it. But the great thing about this story, you see, is it was all captured on the actual video, the camera that fell from the pilot's helmet to the earth below. So we actually see everything from the camera's point of view, including a nice big close-up of the pig's mouth. And this is a YouTube video. So when I found that, I just loved this story. So I would take the video and create the story, and I would tell the story. And at the very end, the video would come. I'd show my students the video or my audience the video, or what, depending on the situation, you see. So for TEDx, I thought very carefully, what story am I going to tell? Because these were not teachers, obviously, not a TEDx talk. These were mostly kind of media type people. So I thought, I'm going to tell the story, another YouTube story called Can't Hug Every Cat. And it's the story of this young woman called Debbie who's looking for love. And she tries to make a video on one of these online dating services. And she starts talking about herself while she's making the video. And then she mentions cats. This is her passion. It's her obsession. And it triggers something inside her. And she gets really, really emotional about it. And while she's making this video to introduce herself to the world, she starts crying. It's occurred to me, Olga, this is actually quite a difficult story to tell. Lots of tangents here. Are you with me so far, everybody?
Yeah, people are still here.
Some of them are still here.
Starting from this topic, I thought there would be some nice experiences.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's a terrible experience. It's okay. Well, the thing is, okay, I planned and I practiced and I rehearsed this story because I knew that this was one of the biggest stages I'd ever been on. There were hundreds and hundreds of people in the audience, you see. So I was very nervous, and I was the very first person on that day. So there was 20 different speakers, and I was the first on the stage. And I'd practiced this story so many times. And in order to try and connect with the audience, Olga, I did something, I did a cheap trick. I decided to introduce myself in Polish. And that got a round of applause, you see, and that was the best part of the whole session. And then I said, my name's Jamie, I'm a teacher. Like many teachers, I like to tell stories. And I'd like to tell you a story. And this is a story about a young girl called Debbie, who's lonely in life. She's looking for love. She wants to find love online. And so she decides to join this online platform called, I can't even remember the name, but it doesn't matter, you see. And as I was going, I was quite happy with the performance I was giving. You know, everything that I'd rehearsed was coming out my mouth. Everything I'd practiced was going exactly as I'd hoped. But about, you know, because the TEDx talk was about 20 minutes long, about maybe 4 minutes into it, maybe about 5 minutes into it, I realized that I had lost the entire audience. I was looking around and everybody was either talking to their friend like this, or on their mobile phone, or looking through the program. I couldn't see anybody that was paying attention to me. And it was absolutely horrible. And I got through the story to the very end. And by the end, I mean, it was quite a complex story as well. So you really needed to pay attention in order to get it, that I was describing this story and a YouTube video behind it. And also the thing is that, well, I'm not even going to tell you because it's too complicated, but I lost everybody's attention. And I finished it, I said goodbye, and I went and sat down, and I felt terrible that I'd done such a bad job, and I could not understand what had gone wrong. And I've told this to a few people, and I've shown them the video, and I've asked them if they can identify what went wrong. And if you've never seen the video and you're watching here, the 18 people who are watching this, try this for yourself. If you go into YouTube and you type in Jamie Keddie TEDx Warsaw, watch the video. From your point of view, you won't see what I saw, which is an entire audience disengaged. But take my word for it, they absolutely were disengaged. Ask yourself the question, what was it that Jamie did? Or what was the problem with the performance? Why did people not want to listen? Why were people not curious or engaged? And I mean, you've watched this video, haven't you, Olga? Do you have any idea?
You know, Jamie, I would like to say a few things. First of all, we tend to criticize ourselves, and on one hand, it's a good thing. On the other hand, it always disturbs us, and we sometimes criticize ourselves too much. The other thing is that you can never be fully responsible for someone's response. You can, yes, as teachers we control it, we can engage, that's right. But come on, you were on the stage, there were hundreds of people, I don't know, 100 or 150 or 200. But
no, there was, I think there was something like 1,200, 1,200, I think, which is,
moreover.
yeah.
So, you know, don't take it personally, I would say.
Oh,
And
no.
the other thing, maybe, you know, on such events, and especially as now we are going online so often, I would say that maybe technology also play a part. I guess, maybe my guess would be that you were a bit disturbed by a person who came to fix your microphone, and maybe that was the thing, which is not a big deal. This is nothing about you, nothing about the person, nothing about the audience. But that small interruption kind of broke the connection of the atmosphere between you and the audience. Who knows?
Actually, Olga, it was the exact other way around. Let me just say before, because I know exactly what the problem was.
Okay.
It took me a long time to realize it, but I can tell you exactly what I did wrong. Let's not say I did it wrong. It was a learning experience, but I know exactly what it was. I know exactly why people lost interest. But interestingly, because what happened was I was I made some gesture. I put my hand in my mouth like this, didn't I? And in doing so, I knocked off my lapel microphone. And so the technician had to come onto the stage and fix it for me. But it's actually the opposite to what you're saying. That was a moment of authenticity. People actually woke up at that part. They laughed. They found it quite funny. And I think they quite liked the way that I dealt with it, to make a joke about it. And
Yes.
that got their attention.
Yes, I remember.
And then when I went back into the story, I lost their attention again. That's a very interesting point.
Well, anyway, Jamie, so first of all, I'm sorry for bringing it up from the very beginning.
Oh, it's
I
okay.
experienced that would be not pleasant topic for you. And the other thing,
No.
I'm so thankful that you're actually covering it, because, you know, many of my guests and people who I invite, they say, oh, come on, I'm just an ordinary person, and you're bringing people who are so extraordinary. They do so many amazing things. But the truth is that behind all of these achievements, behind the amazing things, there are also some kind of failures, let's say, if I can call it this way, the failures which we perceive as failures, some kind of fear, some kind of insecureness, something what we're afraid of, right? So behind of all of the achievements, there are normal people staying who also sometimes do not achieve what they want. And it's so good that you are saying it. So
I can tell that you're a very good teacher with this attitude, and the way that you're speaking now is, if this is the way you speak to your students, and you must be a very nice teacher, and they must appreciate you a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you like me to tell you why I think it failed?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Now, it took me a long time to realize this, and I think it's very important for teachers as well. Now, let's, if I can just leave behind the TEDx talk for a minute.
Sure.
Okay. And I could ask you a question. Have you ever chosen maybe a video or a text or a story or an image or a piece of art or an article for your classroom, and you were hoping that your students were going to be interested in it and moved by it and engaged with it, but they just weren't interested?
Well, yeah, sometimes it happens, sure.
Yeah, it happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes as teachers, we get frustrated because our students don't share the passion for that artifact or piece of material, I should say, for that piece of material that you want to use with them, you know, and that can be a bit frustrating. But let me just give you two examples of approaches here. Okay, imagine I've got a video, and let's say I'm going to use it as for the basis of a prediction activity, a play, pause, predict. That's what I call my PPP method. Of course, it's a silly thing. I didn't invent it, but PPP, play, pause, predict. I just use that so I can confuse people, you know, PPP approach. So imagine a teacher goes into the classroom and says, hello, students. Now, I'm going to show you a video. And okay, you ready for this? Okay, watch this. And then the teacher plays the video, and after maybe 1 minute, the teacher pauses the video. Now, okay, now I want you to guess what happens next, okay? Get into pairs and discuss. Okay, that's one way to do it, okay? How about this? If the teacher goes into the class and says, hello, students. Right, listen, I've got this video that I'd like to show you, but I'm a bit worried because I don't know if you're going to like it. Let me explain. I've got a friend called Conleth, and Conleth sends me stupid videos all the time. And he sent me this video, okay, and I was eating cereal while I was watching it, and suddenly there was a moment that was so funny that it made me actually spit the cereal out my mouth, okay? And but I think it's maybe stupid, and I don't know if you're going to like it, but would you like to see it? Okay, I'll show you this video. Okay, I'm gonna play part of it, and I'm gonna pause it, okay? Now, do you see the difference between those two approaches?
Absolutely. So first you catch their interest, you bring your emotion. So you kind of explain the reason why you want them to watch this even smallest part. Exactly, sure.
Exactly. And it's not just communicating the emotion, but what you're doing is you're exploiting your own story, which connects you with the material. And this is, in my opinion, an experience, an observation, something that teachers so often don't do. They so often think they have to go straight to the material. You know, I'm not saying this is always the case, but it's just so easy to forget to do that, you know? And I think it's really important to be aware and we're talking here about authentic material, aren't we? You know, every piece of authentic material that you ever choose to take into the classroom, there is a story that connects you with it. And it might be a really, really, you know, silly, stupid little story. It might be very, very short. It might be a friend shared it with me on Facebook, or it might be something much longer. This is a really meaningful song to me because it reminds me of a time when I was a student and I was not very happy or something like that, or I was very happy. Or this, you know, this piece of art. I'm going to show you a piece of art which my parents used to have hanging on their wall, and it always reminds me. You know, there's always a story that connects you with the authentic material, and it's us. And the point I'm making here is a lot of teachers might think, well, I don't want to be so personal, but it's according to how personal you want to go. It's always nice to take off your mask in some way or another and show your students that you're a human being. But what I did, or let me before I go there, why is it so important to use this story? And I think that there's a triangle here, and this is an idea that's been explored before by a lot of trainers. One teacher trainer that I know very well, called Rod Blytho, that I know lots of teachers in Ukraine will know because he's been there many times. He used to write about this. He called it the eternal triangle. And the eternal triangle is teacher, students, and material. And it's nice to explore the kind of relationship between these three things. And I think teachers forget that they are human beings, and they aim to get this connection between the material and the students as quickly as they possibly can, so the teacher can take a back seat. But I think that if you want to make a really strong connection between the students and the material, you as the teacher, you really have to contextualize it. You really have to humanize it, and that means giving your own story about how you are connected to the material. Because story is all about connections, and when you demonstrate the connections that you have with the song, the podcast, the article, the video, then it's almost an invitation for students to make their own connections. Right, I'm almost finished this. I'm just going to pause to see if you've got any questions here.
Hi, Patricia from Argentina. We have so many people here. Thank you so much, Jamie, for bringing it. Actually, yes, I agree. You know, bringing some kind of personality is definitely an advantage, but also a challenge for teachers, because if I would be talking about myself coming from Ukraine, kind of post-Soviet territories, you know, the countries, so there would be some kind of emotional distance, because your teacher, you must be very, very kind of respectful, you know, and you have to keep your pose in front of your students. So we are just coming to these, being on the same page with them, kind of a little bit more relaxed. And yes, it's still the exercise which we teachers need to practice in order to bring such personal connections to the material. So yeah, that's a very good lesson.
I think my experience is that a lot of teachers, and there's certain parts of the world and certain cultures of teachers and teaching, that teachers will feel slightly awkward about sharing their own stories. And that's something, if you like, we can talk about in a moment. But let's just, going back to the TEDx talk, I've heard it said that, I mean, there's a lot of TED Talks that I really, really like. Some of them are great. Some of them are average. Some of them are a bit, but if you look at the ones that are really special, they all have something in common. It's an idea being presented through the presenter's own story. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Say that again, because it's there. I mean, TED, a big part of TED is about ideas sharing, and the best videos are not the best ideas. The best videos are always ideas being shared through a personal story, and you cannot escape that. And when I went onto that stage to give my TEDx Warsaw talk, I didn't realize that. And I was almost distanced from my story. I went straight onto the stage in front of these hundreds of people who'd never met me before. They had no idea who I was. They'd never heard of me. All they knew was I was some Scottish person. I was a teacher. That is all they knew about me. Now, the very first thing that they want to know is, who is this guy? And all I told them was, my name's Jamie, I'm a teacher. Like many teachers, I like to tell stories, and I'm going to tell you a story. And then, bam, I went into the story about this woman, this girl called Debbie, that they didn't know. They didn't see any connection. There was no connections whatsoever that they could identify. Therefore, I lost their connection. And that is it in a nutshell. The more I work with story and storytelling, the more important I realize connections is the word. It's so much comes down to connections, and they failed to see any connection, and I lost theirs. And I think I deserve to lose it as well. And I learned a lot from it. You're absolutely right. I don't take it personally. I'm very, very happy that I learned from it, Olga. But I do wish that it wasn't such a popular video. But I don't mean popular. I mean, yeah. But I think it's nice that you started with it, because I have to be honest, I don't think I've ever really told anybody the story. No, I have, because I have a mailing list. It's called the LessonStream Post, and you're on it, are you? And maybe twice a month, I send out an idea, a story idea, an article, and I once made that the subject of one of my LessonStream posts. Yeah. Over to you. I've talked too much.
Jamie, okay, let's forget about kind of work part, if I can call it. Do you have time for your other passion, for music, now? Or is it all teaching?
I turned my back on music many years ago. Yeah. My passion isn't my work.
Right.
You know, it's maybe not very healthy. It's all I do.
Brilliant.
No, I do other things. I do some sports, and I try and I see friends and read some books and watch films, but I pretty much am one of these people who's a bit dedicated and focused on their work.
Much, come on.
Yeah.
And I know that many students and teachers are thankful for all the knowledge that you bring to them. Actually, you mentioned teachers and this cultural aspect, and I thought to ask you, you've been to over kind of 40 countries as a teacher trainer, seeing different teachers from different cultures. And I'm curious, if I may ask, would you say that there are some features that are common to all the teachers all around the globe, and some of those which you saw uniquely in some particular countries and you learned something from those teachers?
Yeah, you mean are characteristics
yes,
of the
yes,
teachers?
as teachers, yeah.
Yes, I think it's probably much easier to find similarities in teachers all over the world. I would imagine, I would guess, certainly in the countries I visited, it's much easier to find similarities than it is to find differences. Yeah.
Okay, but if we
You
to
know?
bring up the differences.
Differences, I think, often come down to maybe approaches, beliefs, and cultures. We
Right.
mentioned, for example, that I've worked, for example, I remember, to give you an example, I don't know how you feel about this, Olga, but do you ever kind of tell little white lies to your students?
You know, with kids, sometimes you need to.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
something
white
that
lie, come on, it exists.
I think it's something that we don't celebrate enough. You know, I love.
Jamie, if I may just interrupt you for a second, I guess you're touching your mic somewhere.
Oh yes.
And we're losing you.
Just like, is that better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Just like in the TEDx talk. Can you hear that?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So I love to make. The truth is a fantastic resource with your students. You know, being able to kind of bullshit them is the best word. You know, little white lies is the same as bullshitting. Bullshitting is not lying. You know, bullshitting. You can take liberty to bullshit your students once in a while and keep them on their toes and keep them guessing and keep them, is this real? Is this not real? It keeps the teacher happy and motivated and kind of interested and looking forward to that mini prank. But when I've mentioned this idea to some teachers, they think that is one of the worst things that a teacher could possibly do to students. A student looks up to the teacher as being a very responsible and honest individual, someone they can trust at all times, someone they've got to respect, and if they're there to be untruthful or tell little white lies, or in my words, to bullshit them, that would be the beginning of a very, very slippery road, and they're actually quite shocked when I suggest that. And I would by no means suggest that they should, if that's their beliefs, and that's their culture. I wouldn't try and push them to do so. Well, I might encourage them to try something new, but I wouldn't say that they must or they should or they're wrong not to by any means, no. So that's maybe a good example of one difference. Another difference is what we were saying before. This is not about lying, this is the opposite.
Jamie, microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn it off now, and if it keeps slipping. Has this been a bit of a problem sometimes?
Sometimes happens, you know, but just you're saying such interesting things that I don't want anyone to miss it.
Let me ask you a question then. If I speak like this, is that clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. If there are any more problems, don't worry about interrupting me. Just put up your hand like that, okay?
Okay.
So I think that one of my big interests in language teaching and language learning is its story. And a part of that is about teachers making use of their own stories and their own experiences and their own anecdotes. And this doesn't mean using stories which are remarkable or impressive stories, you know, stories that make you go, my God, that is incredible that happened to you. I'm much more interested in those little stories, which are everyday stories, which are unremarkable, but meaningful. And those to me are the most valuable stories for the communicative language classroom. And when I talk about this as an approach, you know, making use of your stories as a resource, it often seems to divide teachers. A lot of them will feel, no, I couldn't possibly. I don't like to reveal myself to my students. Some teachers will say, I don't feel confident enough to tell stories. I don't feel that my stories are worth telling. But a lot will say, no, I don't want to be so personal with my stories. So I'd say that's another good example of kind of teacher beliefs and outlooks, which is maybe informed through the culture, rather than the kind of approaches or methodology, that kind of thing. Yeah. What do you think of that? How do you feel about this, Olga?
Actually, for me, it's not such an easy thing to do because I don't know how, but whenever my friends are asking, like, can you tell us any funny story from your teaching experience or just from life, I have a hard time recalling it. It's not like I notice things. Sometimes I recall myself being alone and I suddenly have a thought of something happened like several years ago and I start laughing, But whenever the situation comes that I need to share it, I'm like, out of my mind. Absolutely. So it's actually a habit that you also need to train, like, I don't know, having coffee in a cafe and noticing something unusual, put it in kind of on a shelf into your mind and bring it whenever it is needed.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do then. We're going to do an experiment. I want you to tell me a story right now.
Oh my God. You see what happens. Okay, give me a topic or something.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do some, we'll try something else. I'm going to tell you a very quick story, okay?
Right.
And I wonder if you've ever been in a situation when somebody has asked you in the street for money and they were very, very persuasive, but you didn't want to give them the money. Or something along those lines. I wonder if you've got a story about somebody asking you for money in the street, maybe a beggar. Do you tend to give, when people come and ask you for money in the street, do you usually help them?
Because I saw a small documentary movie, especially about people with children, how they treat the children and what actually happens to those people and children, I cannot say that I felt sorry. I was crying. And now whenever I get to pass by these people and they're begging, I know the story behind maybe this particular situation is not like in that documentary, but I never know, and I don't want to encourage, this kind of business, which you
Yes.
probably all know about. So it's a very
Yeah.
sad topic, actually.
Yes. Yeah. It is an old. Yeah. There's because of the pandemic. There's a lot more people asking for money than there usually are here in Barcelona. Yeah. And they've all got their own stories, haven't they? Even we think we can find patterns in reasons for people doing it, or maybe they've got these kind of mechanisms going on where the kids are asking and they're part of a sort of. There's always different stories out there. And have you ever had the situation where somebody asks you for, you think they're going to ask you for money, and you're immediately going, sorry, no, but then you realize they're asking you something else and you feel really bad. You go, oh, sorry, maybe they're asking you for directions.
Oh yeah, sometimes it happens. I don't know, maybe I cannot remember precisely, but maybe once or twice it would be so that the person is approaching and not even pronouncing anything yet, but you are kind of the very first unconscious reactions that you're a little bit frightened and like one step away, but then you understand that the person is calm.
So this happened to me yesterday in Barcelona. I was walking home and a guy stopped me and I was sure he was asking for money. And I was actually wearing these headphones, so I just said, sorry, no tengo. And then I realized he was gesturing. I said, oh, so he was asking for help. And I felt really bad. And you know Barcelona a little bit, so do you know the Chample? The crisscross part of the town?
Yeah, probably.
And this poor guy had just arrived in Barcelona yesterday morning to study. And he had some lodgings, some university lodgings in that crisscross part of the city. And he'd checked in, he'd left his things there, and he'd come for a walk, and then he'd been robbed. And the robbers had got his mobile phone, and the mobile phone had the information about where his new residency was. So he couldn't find his way back because he didn't have the address. He couldn't phone anybody. And the robbers had got not just his mobile phone, but his wallet. So he had no money. And what he wanted from me is if I could phone his mother back in Ireland. You see, this was an Irishman. And so I was, so I got my phone out and he gave me her number. And I said, I hope you don't mind if I hold the phone myself. I'd prefer not to give it to you just for COVID, you know? And we typed in the number of his mother and he said, I think I'm going to leave a voice message. And so he left quite a long voice message for his mum about the situation he was in, about checking into the university accommodation, about going out for a walk, getting robbed. Please don't worry, Mum. The thing is, they've got everything. They've got my mobile phone, my wallet, my passport. And what I really need from you right now is if you could wire me some money, just a few £100. I promise I'm going to pay it back to you. And please don't tell Dad. I don't want him to worry. Please don't worry about you, Mum. I really, really love you. I love you so much. I love you so much. Bye-bye. And that was it. And then the message was finished. What do you think I was wondering in my mind here? What do you think I was thinking?
I would be thinking, how can I help him?
Would you? You see, I told you were a good, kind teacher. I'm less trusting than you, maybe.
Now, what would you think? What you thought?
Well, I saw my sister for a coffee today, and I told her this story, and she said, "Did it occur to you that maybe he was not telling the truth? That he was actually trying to con you out of money?"
Well, but you could, being there, could you see somehow by his emotions any kind of, body language?
Well, I would say that it didn't just occur to me. It was there from the very start. Okay. Right there at the front of my brain thinking, is this guy real? Is this genuine? Is this a serious situation? Is he telling the truth? Is he telling lies? Is he trying to con me? Is this genuine? Is he going to end up asking you for money at some point? If so, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? Okay, the phone call is one thing. I'm happy to do this if this is genuine, but is this going to go in a different direction? You see? And so, yes, I am really scrutinizing this guy. Body language, the details, the way he's dressed. Does this story match up with the way this guy is presenting himself? And it was very difficult to know.
No, but you see, the point is, because I hear the story from you and somehow maybe you brought it in a sensitive way. So what I heard was a touching story. But yes, you were there, you saw each and every detail, consciously, unconsciously. So it means much more, So
I did that on purpose as well, because I wanted to paint a picture of somebody who really was in need of some help, you see. And so, by the way, in doing that, I was able to hold that part off until this moment was, and I was wondering if I was teaching students and using this story, I'd be trying to maybe ask a student to ask that question. Did it occur to you that he was trying to con you? Which would have been a nice piece of emergent language for the board. Did it occur to you that he was trying to con you? Maybe they would need to learn this word con. And so, absolutely, yes. Would it not occur to you? And I'm sure that it would occur to you too, Olga, you see. And what do you think happened?
Jamie, coming to this second, I would like to announce, dear teachers, my dear colleagues, please make sure to visit Jamie's website, LessonStream, just to be sure, LessonStream, because there you can find many lesson plans, just as fantastic as this one. And also you can subscribe for the newsletters Jamie mentioned that you will be receiving some.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, I agree. They should subscribe, shouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie, I have such a question, if I may.
Yeah.
We are all looking forward to okay, back to normal. Let me just put it in a simple word.
I'll tell you what, just to go 20 seconds back, I've got to finish the story.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. You didn't realize. The thing is, you didn't know it was finished. You didn't know it wasn't finished, did you? Yeah. And it would have been easy for me to just not go back to the end, but I better just finish it for you, because do you know what happened next? I bet you know what happened next. I bet you know what happened next. After I put my phone away, he said to me, listen, I don't suppose there's any chance you could lend me 20 euros or 30 euros, could you? I promise I'll pay you back. And I said, look, I'm really sorry, I don't have any money with me, no cash, and it was true. And he said, any chance I could get you to go to the cash machine? And I was completely in the corner, thinking, I don't know how, I don't want to give somebody money, I don't want to go to the cash machine. I feel a bit sorry for this guy, but he's got me absolutely in the corner, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Was he big?
No, he wasn't.
Oh my God.
But this is what I did. I just started thinking, look, this is absolutely, there's so much going on here. Everything is just this crazy, crazy situation that he's in. It seems so elaborate. It was everything that could have gone wrong, did go wrong. He'd also been trying really hard to kind of connect with me, to bond with me. I'm Scottish, he was Irish, asking me things about where I was from and these things. And I just got this sensation, no, this is not real. And I said, look, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to call you. You might think I'm a bad person for this, but I said to him, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to let a stranger in the street persuade me to go to a bank machine and take out 30 euros from them. That's just not going to happen. And I give money to some people sometimes when I'm in the mood and when in other situations, but I'm not going to persuade somebody to take me to a bank machine to give them money. And I just said it to him in his eyes, and he just said, okay. And then he left. And that's what happened. But here's the thing. I thought there's a way I'm going to find out if he's telling the truth or telling a lie. There's a very, very simple one.
Okay.
The audio message that he left for his mother, when he clicked send, it only had one tick on WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, she's been on a flight. She must still be in airplane mode. That's what he said. And 24 hours later, it's still not been double ticked. And that would suggest to me that that was a fictitious phone number that he fabricated in order to make his story seem more credible. What do you think, Olga? Did I do the right thing or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. My heart is beating. I'm frightened. I can imagine how you felt.
Just before you go.
In such situations, you need to think fast, and that's very good that you were able to keep kind of cold mind. Can I say so?
Maybe wasn't as calm as you think I might have been. I was a bit panicky inside because nobody likes to be put in that situation, do they? Yeah, and this is the first news story that I've added to my story list in weeks, because nothing's happening in life right now. So it was actually if I'd had €5, I would have given it to him for the story, to be honest. But I didn't have any cash. Anyway, go back to the question that you asked before. What was the question that you asked before you were going to ask?
No, I'm sorry for jumping so fast, because you see, I'm keeping an eye.
No sorries.
I keep an eye on the time, because this Instagram thing, it has the limit of kind of 60 minutes, otherwise we will lose the stream. So that's why I always try. Is
that right? I didn't realize that. Okay, you better tie this up then. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you visited so many countries already. So what is the place that you are looking forward to once everything is back to normal? What would be the first city you're gonna visit?
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little secret here. I've never visited Russia. I've never visited Ukraine either, but I've never visited Russia, and I think that's a place I would really like to go to when we can travel again. When we can travel again, I'm going to travel less, that's for sure, because you know, I've done my traveling, but I'd like to just a few trips every now and again. And one of those, I'd be really interested to go to Russia, and I'd also love to go to Ukraine as well. That's
I
absolutely for
hope you will
sure.
be able to visit Ukraine. It's a very nice
Yeah.
country and beautiful. If you will need any tips, so of course feel free to
For
ask
sure.
all the guidelines needed.
Yes, you'll meet for a coffee, will you, and show me the way?
Absolutely. Oh, I hope you will get the flights through Warsaw, maybe.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Oh, I'm saying that, I'm forgetting that you're actually not in. You're not in Ukraine
I'm
right
in
now.
Warsaw.
Yeah. Which city do you recommend in Ukraine? What's the name of the city beside the sea again? I've just
Odessa.
Odessa. That's right. Odessa and
Odessa, my
Kiev.
favorite city in Ukraine. Odessa is
Mm.
very sunny, and it's actually kind of like Barcelona somehow, because Odessa also has such streets which go like, I don't know, in square shapes, so they constantly cross each other. So it's very nice, and it's been renovated. So there are many buildings which look very nice, and you can have great photos. And the sea, and it's just the atmosphere. Oh my God, in Odessa, everyone seems to be so happy. All people are so cheerful. I mean, they're all in a good mood because it's a city, they call it, they make a lot of jokes, and there is a festival of, like comedian festival. So people are always in a good mood there. So, yeah, but anyway, Lviv is a very beautiful city. It's magnificent. It's quite like European style, it's it looks like Polish cities. So it's very like Eastern. And yeah, but Kiev is so beautiful, the capital.
Fantastic. One day for sure.
Yeah.
How many minutes do we have left?
Kind of 4. I've been asking you so many questions. Maybe you would like to ask me anything, or just bring anything that you would like to say to everyone who is watching us.
It's very nice to have you here. Thank you for staying here, the 11 people that are still here. Can I offer a thought, a closing thought?
Yes, please.
There's often 2 approaches to teaching. It's not absolute, it's not all one or all the other, it's more like a spectrum. And they are reactive teaching and preemptive teaching. So preemptive teaching is when you plan and prepare exactly what you want to teach, what you want to do, the activities. Reactive teaching, on the other hand, is, as the title suggests, the name suggests, you react to what comes up, the things that are said, the things that happen, the language, the emergent language, working with it. So, every class is a little bit of one or the other. It depends on how much of a reactive teacher you are, or how are you more a reactive teacher, or are you more a preemptive teacher? And I think you can take an interview, the same approach. And I think we've taken a reactive approach to this interview. And sometimes the interviews I've seen before on Instagram, people take too much of a preemptive approach, and you get these questions that it makes it kind of, there's no flow. So thank you for agreeing, Olga, to do a reactive interview. I'm not saying it's better, but it kind of, for me, it's more fun.
Yeah, it just brings the diversity. Thank you so much for suggesting such format.
It's my pleasure, and I'm honored that you asked me to do this, and we can do it again one day maybe. How does that sound?
Yeah, I would be super happy, because I think we could talk for hours, and it's just a very small piece of I don't know, conversation that we had, and we can have much more.
When Instagram increase it to 10 hours, then we'll do a 10-hour interview marathon. How about that?
I was actually thinking about YouTube maybe, because I don't want just to end up it like this with many people when we talk so nice, and then I have to say, sorry, there is a limit of 60 minutes. It's ridiculous.
Actually, I think maybe 60 minutes is long enough, isn't it? Am I going to be able to put this on my own timeline? How does that work?
I will now save it. It will upload, and then via your PC you will be able to download it and upload it to your Instagram.
Oh, that's how it works.
But through the PC, because it's too long, you cannot download it on your phone.
Surely will. Perfect. All right, great.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for this wonderful conversation. It was really, really nice and just flow, natural flow, as you said. Thank you for sharing all of the ideas. And for sure, I will be happy to talk again.
Well, great to meet you, Olga.
Likewise.
Stay safe and enjoy your week.
Yeah,
So.
you too, you too. And thank you everyone for being with us, and see you soon again.
The Hardcore 11. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.